What's up, and welcome back to Cleats to Whistle podcast. I am Brad Valdez. This is episode 6, and today we have Anthony Richardson, a.k.a. Coach Hawk, is in the building. Let's give him the proper applause.
Dog.
Oh, that's the dog. You get the dog. You get the dog button. There it is. Dog. So what's going on, Coach?
Man, not too much, man. Blessed to be alive.
There you go. I hear you. We're just going to jump into the podcast. And you are running an organization that is helping youth like train to be a better athlete on the field and off the field.
Correct. That is the whole mission and purpose, to enrich students and student athletes with tools to excel academically, develop characteristics of leadership, while we simultaneously enhance their athletic foundation.
There we go. And did that take you? Was that your mission to get out of coaching and go into that?
Absolutely not, man. If I had to say, my kids took me out of coaching. Let me say that I didn't want to be a guy that it's no like shame to any other coaches at all, because we've all benefited from these type of coaches. But I didn't want to be a coach who neglected your kids to be a great coach. Ultimately, I think when I first met you, I believe it was fall of 2015 or summer 2015 when we coached at Western. Like my second son, Andrew, was born October 30th, 2015. And, that was the last time I actually coached for, a traditionally for a high school program.
Yeah, and because I've been wondering where you've been at, because you know what I mean. It's like, man, this guy's a good coach. I actually, when we did coach at Western, man, you and Bussy was there. George Bussy was there with him, and there was a memorable moment in that season because you guys were talking so much crap to each other, and I don't know if you remember this, man. You guys went 1-on-1.
And I remember us wrestling in the locker room.
Yeah. I was like, these dudes, man, they're gonna break somebody's neck, man. But actually, who actually won that little wrestling match?
I'm gonna go ahead and say George. I feel like he hear me say me, and then we got to go again. The way my joints are set up. My pride is gonna answer the call. These joints ain't.
Oh man. So yeah, this is just for you guys to get to know Coach Hawk here. Where did you get that nickname?
Man, Gladys J. Brown. That is my grandmother. She's still alive. But the story I was told when I was somewhere around 3 to 6 months old, she made the comment one day, like, because I was just growing so fast. Like, I believe my aunt told me I was in almost a year size clothing, 1T or whatever, when I was about 6 months. So my grandmother made the comment, he's busting out of clothes like the Incredible Hulk, and legit has stuck with me all my life.
Nice. You can see the decor here, and he's got the Hulk back here and everything. But I'm actually wearing the inside the line shirt. He actually hooked me up with a shirt, and this is his like, is it an organization or is it like a training facility, or what do you basically do? You go and train kids? Because I actually heard some good stuff. I was over at Coach Abel, Fern Creek.
Oh yeah.
He said that you were working with a kid, one of his kids, and he said that that you know your stuff, man, and he's give you good praise. But are you what else are you doing with this?
So inside the lines, it depends on how much time you got, but it was started just holistically with just who I was. Before I became an educator, I was a investigator for Child Protective Services, and just seeing so many kids and families needing guidance, and for various reasons. Some is no fault of their own. It's not all abuse and neglect out here. Some is just circumstantial. So seeing kids being misguided by society, coaching football at that time, I was done playing ball, and I had reached back out to one of my mentors and coaches, LaCunta Farmer, and he was coaching at Doss, so I started helping with them and trying to figure out what I was going to do with the rest of my life. And then realizing student athletes need tutoring, training, and mentoring. So at one point, I had a random cousin tell me, he was like, because I was tutoring out of the house. We would go to Shawnee Park. do some training, and then just being a big brother to a lot of the kids. So, there's your mentorship. So one of my cousins one day, rest in peace to Tim Burris, he just flat out said, man, you need to make your business a nonprofit so that you can receive support. And with that being said, like I filed for that on April the 7th, 2017. We were recognized federally as a 501c3. And so just turning that mission that I mentioned before, and then all kids needing tutoring, training, and mentoring. I don't care if you run a 4-3, you need to make sure you're adequate in the classroom, and you need to be a productive member of society, because at some point your sport of choice will quit you before you want to quit it. And then can you go out and be productive out here? Can you lead your family? Can you be successful in a classroom or a boardroom or a business office, and and make that an honorable project and a mission of yourself? So that's I'll say this humbly, but I'm learning to speak out on the truth. There's no training facility in the city of Louisville that holistically works with kids in our areas, tutoring, training, and mentoring. So that's just was our mission. We work out of the Family Life Center at St. Paul Baptist Church. We got a weight room, we got a training area, we got a gym floor, we got classrooms, we got Chromebooks, we got all the things to make it go and grow. It's just now finding those right people invested in kids and that wants to really invest in the kids and make them a better person through sports, not for sports.
Yes, that's a great answer, man. I have all the time in the world too. It's but it's kind of crazy you said that what you were going into, where you came from actually. I actually grew up in foster home. I was there for about, I think 4 years, and that was just because what I mean. My mom was an alcoholic. My dad was doing his own thing. You know what I mean, being a single dad, just out in the streets. And for you to say that, man, that brings me joy, because I had a couple guys in my life, you know what I mean, that took me under their wing. Roy Gonzalez, he treated me like a son. Man, it's just crazy that you put yourself above. You know what I mean? Not above, but you know what I mean. You're like a father figure to your kids and to the kids that need you.
Right. I mean, and I tell a lot of the kids, like I always, you'll call me coach for the rest of your life. And once you cross that threshold into adulthood, a lot of my kids that are still in college, they call me, reach back out and call me coach. And I'm like, at this point, I'm not a coach, man. I'm a friend that's just lived, some of the experiences you want to live, that you're seeking. So, I recognize I guess the position I play now, and I embrace it. It's a good feeling, and honestly, and I tell the kids, I'm super transparent with the kids about my faults, flaws, mindset, and those type of things, because that's why I made Inside the Lines. I feel like if I had an opportunity like this or something similar, I may not be in this situation right now, and nothing negative to say it that way, but I may not, I could have achieved my dream and goal with the correct assistance, because I had all the tools. It's now, how do I use the tools effectively without so many mistakes?
Yep. So you keep saying that you know what I mean. You had a mentor, farmer. And shout out to more people that you looked up to, your mentors. Who else was that?
Biggest one, man, my father. Rest in peace to him. He died going on 2 years ago from ALS. He was always my coach until I got to high school. He was always involved. Whether if he wasn't my coach, he ran the organizations that I played for. So and then he was an assistant, I guess, president or whatever, GM of the Muhammad Ali League when I was younger. So my father, biggest mentor, because I was always around him. And I had to stay near him and my mother because I was I ain't gonna say a trouble kid, but I stayed in doing something. You know what I mean? What my granny would say, that's a boy right there.
Hey, boys being boys.
You know what I mean? I had my parents around, but there was a bunch of coaches, man, that that like Coach Sean Donegan with the Yellow Jackets, Coach Maurice Marchman, they were around. Tony Bradley, those guys were men that my father trusted for me and my brother, and and they knew football, and then they provided for us. So there was a secondary, I guess, father figure,
Yep. Yep.
and just being around those guys soaking up football made it. But then, like LaCunta Farmer, I met him when I played in 2003 when we played for the East West All Star game, and he was the coach there, and he was, Kunta is about 5 or 6 years older than me. So it was one of those big brother relationships, but he was still young and active, and everything he asked you to do, he could do physically. And so you see this dude is like coaching you, but he's leading you. So it made it easy for me to kind of pick up that stuff. So he coached me there. Coach Kenny Walker, I've been knowing him as well. He's always been a good mentor, father figure or whatnot now. And so, like, having those guys around, and it's just not limited to those gentlemen, but those are kind of some of the ones that just help with development from kid to adolescence to adulthood. And, those guys pretty much now, every last one of them, I still have a relationship with.
I would like to interrupt this podcast episode to give a big shout out to Abbott's Crafts. They made me this fabulous 4-in-1 custom-made logo cup. If you don't know what a 4-in-1 does, it holds bottle, can, and if you just want water like I have right now, boom, you just put water in it. Also, they gave me a custom-made Cleats to Whistle podcast big guy towel. If you don't know, it's almost that time of year where you're going to see a lot of dudes walking around with towels, man, wiping their head. But yes, they actually make custom-made towels. So go check out Abbott's Crafts. I'll actually put the QR code right here. Go check them out and get custom-made stuff today. It's awesome. So with you, let's start from your beginning. Where did you play your little league ball and your high school ball at?
So little league ball. So again, it's circling back to my dad. I was always one of the bigger kids around, and with him running the league, I started football at the age of 4. And back, it make it sound real old, but I just turned 38. But when I saw 34 years ago, there was not like tiny mites, mighty mites. It was peewees, juniors, and seniors. So I think Pee-wee's age split was like 5 to 8 or maybe 5 to 9. And so my dad put me in there, and I started playing at 4 for the Fly J Rams. And I can't remember how many seasons, but I know it was at least 2 or 3 I played for them. And then one of the organizations, the Portland Redskins, came back, and my father helped, bring it back, resurge it or whatever. So I started playing for them. We played a couple years there. And then I went to, they were called the Giants at the time, which is now the Yellow Jackets.
Oh, okay.
So my last year, I played about 5 years of Pee-wee football. So my last year of Pee-wee, we was the Giants over at Russell League Park. And then my first year of juniors, somehow, Central High School donated all of their jerseys and equipment, or I'm going to say jerseys and stuff, to us. So we just adopted the Yellow Jackets.
Okay, that's a cool story.
Because you have bees and everything else on every. So instead of trying to be the Giants and wear this in practice, we just changed from Giants to Yellow Jackets, and that's why the Yellow Jackets are what they are today.
Wow, that's awesome, man. And in your high school ball?
High school, so I originally went to Male. I did 2 years at Male. We won a championship in 2000. And then after that, I did enough at Male to put an X on my back, meaning just class clown stuff, wasn't being my best self. And I had an incident with a teacher, and that incident was more or less she didn't like me because literally I was the biggest class clown in the room. So she failed me every grading period until I took my mother up there. And this is the first time ever in my life. I've told you I'm a class clown, acted silly. I begged my mother to go up there and talk to this lady, my English teacher. And went up there, and she wrote down my accurate grades in the grade book. but she gave me a U
Oh,
every 6 weeks.
wow.
So with all of that turmoil, my mother was, in an uproar, this, that, and the other. Like the school was like, we're gonna, not mess with Anthony. But me and the principal, Mr. Wilson, I'll say his name because I avidly don't like dude. He just had a mark out for me, and so like during the summer they sent me. I was on academic and behavior probation, and I just didn't like it. I felt like it was a slap in the face. Y'all lied to me because we had just talked about this at school, and then y'all flipped the script. So I went to my home school, PRP, for my last 2 years of high school. I was unable to play for my junior year because Male did not release me until like
Yeah,
the
they
ninth
didn't
game of the
release.
season.
Okay.
Like literally, so Male and PRP played. I play obviously like I played for Male my sophomore year. We played against PRP. We barely beat PRP. It was 28-25. Um, so like going to PRP, and I was one of the starters at that point moving forward. And Male and PRP, my junior year when I was at PRP then, played like the 8th game of the season. And they wouldn't release me in the whole season. And so like after game 3 or 4, like me and Coach Lisa, he was just like, Anthony, I don't think it's gonna happen this season. And he was like, you can keep coming to practice and working out, or I wouldn't be mad at you if you didn't. And so I legit, being frustrated in the kid, like, man, I ain't gonna keep practicing and I can't play. So after the 8th game of the season, when we played Male on that Monday, Male sent my release.
No, they released you. I knew this was coming. Damn it.
So, but I finished at PRP. I was all district. I was honorable mention all state. Just I was a smart football player, but I wasn't elite. I was good to dominant, but I wasn't one of the elite guys. Of course, at graduating high school, 6', 289 was my measurables. I was quicker than I was fast, but I wasn't a fast guy. So I had at Male, I was receiving a lot of interest just off potential because of all the greatness that was around us with, you got Montrell Jones, Chris Barkley, the quarterback, Blackerby. You got Marcus Green, who, and these guys are all Division I, all-state guys, Michael Bush, obviously, and many more, Sergio Spencer, people like that were, top of the class at their respective positions or whatnot.
Yeah.
So, I got attention there, but I was Marcus Green's backup as a sophomore. Only time I started was when we played against these dominant run teams like St. X, Butler, because they had a running back like Craig Turner, Jeremy Johnson, those guys. When we played them and we went a 4-man front, I was, next in line. But, Marcus Green was a beast in himself. You know what I mean? He went to Ohio State, won a championship there, played in the NFL. So I was his backup. Literally, when I showed up on campus, it was whatever Marcus does, you do. And I was like, so
Yes, sir. I'll do it.
for a little while. So that told me, they saw potential in me and stuff like that. So, at Male, was getting attention just because you were playing and being productive, and you were being seen. When I went to PRP, we had 2 guys that was majorly dominant and highly scouted, in Kave Jackson and Juwan Spillman. So, but being more of a bigger factor at PRP and stuff like that in my senior year, got interest from all the Kentucky smaller colleges.
Gotcha.
Moorheads and Campbellsvilles and so on, Cumberland and so on and so forth, or whatever other, schools here. So I felt I was better than that. And on National Signing Day in 2003, me and my father went up to the University of Louisville with my 3-film recruiting VHS tape and gave it to Coach Reggie Johnson. He was the linebackers coach, and gave it to him. And again, so National Signing, it wasn't we had 2 or 3 National Signing Days like now.
Right.
It was one in early February. So we went up there, watched all the signing days. So it's just making me more hungry for football. Like, all right, get your stuff together, because when you get your next opportunity, you'll be a beast. You know what I mean? So we gave it to him, didn't hear anything back. So at that time, my grades, graduating high school, I think I had a 2.3, and my highest ACT was like a 19, but my composite score was 21. Well, I needed a 21 on the ACT, but a 2.5 GPA.
Gotcha. Yep.
So I had committed to going to Morehead State University as a Prop 48. University of Louisville called me on the day of my high school graduation. It was a Saturday. I think it was like May 30th. And I remember me and my father just sitting on the front porch at my parents' house, and he was like, "Yep, this is him," and had whatever general conversation, and then, so I didn't think it was for me. And he said, "Huck, you still want to play for U of L?" And I'm like, type of question is that? Like, hell yeah, I want to play for, so, but I didn't have the qualifying grades in ACT. So they recommended a junior college in Iowa. I can't remember the name or the school or city or whatever, but we didn't know anything about junior colleges. It wasn't, widely talked about as now. And so we were like, man, I'll just go to Morehead and figure it out, because my goal was my dream was to play for U of L. Being a hometown kid, I wanted to hear my name on the PA system at Papa John's Cardinal Stadium.
Yep, homegrown. Yep.
And I had played on Papa John's Cardinal Stadium once with the Yellow Jackets. My 8th grade year, we played against the Lobos in the Super Classic, and that was the first year that Papa John's Stadium was up. So we had played there, and so just that feeling of playing in front of 40, 50,000 people, just ran through my veins, and I was like, this is where I want to be, So ended up at Morehead, man, and Morehead, I didn't like it. It was too country, and I just didn't like it. So I handled my business. I completed 18 credit hours that fall semester, but then what I did was, and I wish I wouldn't have, but it's all hindsight. And again, that's why I did Inside the Line. So what happened was I just hated it. I unenrolled. So I went to the registrar's office right before Thanksgiving break. So, that's 2-3 weeks before school's out. Told them I'm not coming back in the spring. Wrote my letter, signed it, gave it to them. I packed up my car. I put everything in my car but my refrigerator, my microwave, and like 2 weeks worth of clothes and underwear, etc. Came home, pulled up to my parents' house. I was like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm not going back. And they're like, what? But my parents understood my dreams and goals and my work ethic to it.
Right.
The only reason I went to college was to play football, period. You probably would have had to pay me to go to college if football wasn't involved.
Right.
But I don't see myself filling out a application. So that happened. I tried to get in U of L, but then that was when the guy at U of L told me, you need 24 credit hours to be a fully permitted sophomore.
Oh, man.
So I'm still recognized as a freshman, which they go by your high school credentials. So I didn't know that. And I had been talking to the recruiting coordinator at U of L, Sam Hurd, at the time. And I went up there to talk to him. I had to take another ACT on U of L's campus, like during winter break. I freaking got another 21 on it, and I needed like a 25 or something stupid to come in and start practicing in the spring.
Yeah.
So I enrolled in JCC, completed that spring semester. Then, boom, I'm at U of L. And this is when me and Bussy met.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So this is the fall of 2004. Again, like, he came as a preferred walk-on, and pretty much at that point I was a preferred walk-on as well. But I wasn't coming out right out of high school. I looked more so like a street walk-on because I had already been in school for a year. Had to work out, try out. I had, in my head, I made it. So I did not work out that summer. So I showed up the first day, which was the walk-ons tryout, and I'm throwing up, out of shape. And I have a conversation with the strength and conditioning coach who helped run the workout. His name is Coach Saha. Crazy, big, yoked up white dude, just full of energy all the time. He, after like the first half of the workouts or whatnot, was like, hey, Richardson, you come here to play center? And I was like, and mind you, like, up until high school, well, it's a funny story. I'll tell you this later. But up until my freshman year in high school, I played center and defensive tackle.
Okay, and that was the position I was going to ask you what position you
Played
played.
all my life. I mean, so starting out, Little League, I played middle linebacker. I was the kicker. I was the center. And as football got faster, I got fatter, so I got slower. So, but I played. So I moved down to D tackle. But I was smart enough. I was always one of the smartest people on the field. And then being a coach's son, student of the game, all of those fun things just kind of came into play. But so in my heart, my NFL potential was better at center than tackle because of size, ability. I'm quick, strong, point of attack. I can point out this, read defenses, understand it. But my ego and pride said, I want to hear my name on the PA system.
Right.
I want to, make a big time play and so on and so forth. So, nonetheless, the coach, she's like, "You here to come here to play center?" And I'm like, "Nah, I'm coming here to play defensive tackle." 30 seconds later, he was like, "You here to play center?" And I'm like, in my head, I'm thinking, why does this dude keep asking me? And so I'm getting mad. Like, he don't remember talking to me or he's trying to piss me off, whatever the case may be. 5 minutes later, after we do some more little running or drills, he's like, "You here to play center?" And I'm like, dude, for the last time, I'm a defensive tackle. And I'm telling you now, I'm probably one of the best defensive tackles on this team, and I'm not even on the team yet. He was like, "All right, thanks." So nonetheless, they end up telling me they didn't think my conditioning was good enough to help the team. But they saw potential. So they're going to use, basically, I've repeated the Prop 48 process. Me and a guy, Rashad Roberts, and Bobby Buchanan, Ray Buchanan's little brother. We all had to work out together, but not with the team. So, like, I was treated like another Prop 48. And then, so did that all fall. First day walking into practice, me and my buddy Mike Bush, we're walking into practice, and then we're walking into the facility, going into obviously the little field house, and Greg Brom is coming down the ramp. That was when they had them ramps outside the stadium. It's like, "Hey, Anthony, where you going?" And I'm like, "To practice." And he was like, "Nah, I don't think so." And he was like, I was like, "What's the issue?" It's like, "You know your GPA?" And I'm like, "Nope." He's like, "It's a .7."
Oh,
And I was like, okay, so what do I got to do? He was like, "Well, you can't practice." So from what I learned, it's basically the Deion Sanders rule, where he only went to school during the fall and the spring. It was like, "I'm being in the NFL, so screw it." Because he only stayed eligible for the fall, like the
got
spring
you.
didn't
Yep,
matter.
yep, yep.
So I couldn't practice in the spring, so a little more frustrated. Now I'm more so pissed off at myself. But so all throughout the spring and the first summer semester, I'm retaking classes that I got D's in, U's in, or you know what I mean, retaking them. So I'm loaded with like 20 credit hours in the spring, and then in the first summer semester, I'm loaded with like 12 hours.
Yeah.
At the end of the first semester, my GPA, my cumulative is now 2.7. Eligible to practice, right? So I go practice, and they're like, "Nah, we're just going to hold you off until the walk-ons coming in." So basically, at this point, they felt like I'm wasting their time.
Yeah,
So from
exactly.
a coach's perspective, I get it now. Then I'm like, screw you, Avil. My dream is not going to happen here. So, and I've still been get back to working out, doing stuff with Coach Farmer and stuff. And Coach Farmer LaCoonta Farmer is a K-State legend. So I had 3 schools that I was courting. I'm sorry, I got 2 schools that I'm courting at that point. Western Kentucky and FAMU. I wanted to go to FAMU. I had 2 cousins who lived down there. They had a 3-bedroom condo. So obviously the third one's for me. And one of my cousins, she went to Florida State, and then her brother, he went to FAMU. So I'm like, man, consider going there. And then one of the football players that was dismissed from U of L, his football team, he transferred to FAMU. So I'm talking to him. He's like, "Man, come on down." So they told me they would give me a partial scholarship, and if what they saw on film held true, by the spring I would have one. But that's an 11-hour drive. My mother disabled. She got rods and screws put in her back. So driving that far just ain't logical consistently. And then flying, we ain't got the money for that. You know what I mean? For my parents to be flying every weekend to see me play.
Yep.
So I put FAMU on the back burner, called Western Kentucky. They wanted me, but they was full for camp, and that was when they were 1AA, and they can only have 95 or 95 athletes checking the camp. And so they were like, "You can come, and the walk-ons come, and we would love to have you." And I'm like, "I'm not." You go when the walk-ons come. That's the first day of school. The first game is that weekend,
Yep.
so it's just going to take me, a third to half the season to crack the depth chart. You know what I mean? And so in my head, I was impatient. So Kunta took me down to K-State. They had a new coaching staff. When I walked in on, I guess you can say, my informal recruiting visit, the coaches had on a table over 40 championship rings from being players and being coaches. So the first thing they said to me was they know football.
Yeah. Yep.
And, it's K-State. Of course, I've never been down and through K-State. I've been around. My brother attended there, and he's 5 years older than me, but he didn't play ball. So, I didn't, just to be honest, I didn't realize K-State was that bad financially as a university and, lack of exposure and so on and so forth. Because, again, at this point, I'm just ready to play ball. I want to make it to the NFL. I need the best stage where I can perform. Nonetheless, and I knew my parents can get up and down this road in no time.
Right. Yep.
So that's how I ended up at K-State. I enrolled there in fall of 2005, and I graduated in fall of 2008.
Nice. And what did you have a number that you played with, and was there a meaning behind it?
I had an evolution of numbers. I know when I first started out, I was 55. Can't tell you why. Don't know if it was just given to me, or if I asked for it.
So what was your more meaningful? What was your more meaningful number?
I ended up being 98. When I got to the Yellow Jackets, I became number 98 when I had the choice to pick my number, and that was solely because of Warren Sapp. That was when he first got to Tampa Bay. He was number 98. And then I can't remember how long it took, but a year or two in, he switched to 99. And so I switched to 99, and that was what I was. Well, when I got to Male didn't have 90s numbers. So I picked, I wanted number 60. One of my good friends was standing right in front of me in line, and I said out loud, "Don't nobody get 60. I want it." This dude was the guy right in front of me. And when he got up in the line, they gave him whatever numbers it was, options. He said, "Give me 60." I could have choked it. He's still one of my best friends.
Okay, I was saying, is he still your friend?
He was just with me the other day for my birthday dinner.
Man.
So I was 65 at Male, but when I went to PRP, that was when I got back into 98.
Okay. And do you see yourself ever getting back into coaching?
High school wise, probably not. It's just selfishly the only reason I would coach is if my sons needed a lineman coach or some type of at their high school. Obviously, I'm selfishly invested in their success, not daddy ball. My boys play line, and they're not quarterbacks, receivers, or whatever. So I don't think it's hard to do daddy ball if the ball ain't in your kids' hands. But I'm a fundamentals and technique guy, and I don't know who all of the coaches are around here, but I can tell you, in my sleep, I'm in the top category of lineman coaches.
Yeah, because when you were coaching D line at Western when we coached, right?
Yep.
So you're D line, Bussy was O line.
Yep.
Oh, okay, yeah, because that's what I thought. I thought you were a big a D line guy,
Yeah.
but then I was over, like I said, I was over talking to Coach Abel, and he said you were working with the
O line.
their O line.
They got a kid, Tim. I don't know who may see this podcast, but if y'all could follow Fern Creek High School in Louisville, Kentucky, there's a offensive tackle. Tim is about 6'3", 6'4", probably about 320, and he moves like a wide receiver.
So you got feet.
He's just learning offensive technique. He's an athletic beast. He's strong as hell. He punched me one day in a drill, and on the pad in the chest. I said, Tim, if you punch me like that again, I'm gonna put my hand up. But it was just natural. But he's But yeah, I mean, so I tell kids this too, like being a D lineman and studying and trying to get better and learning techniques and watching drills and trying to follow the guy, the Leon. I mean, just watching linemen, Leon Lett, Charles Haley, Nate Newton, those guys, Reggie White, Bruce Smith, Warren Sapp, and there's more. But just like watching them and then their workout videos, John Randall, you then look at the O line and because my D line move is to counter the O line. So you understand that chess game of, okay, when he oversets, I do this. When he quick sets, I do that. If he's heavy on his knuckles, this is how I'm going to come off the ball. If he's slow with his snap hand as a nose guard, I'm going to shade and attack his snap hand because he has to snap, punch, and most people can't do that, effectively. And then you get good with that offense. So looking at learning D-line, I learned O-line, and I take pride in it. But, of course, I played all of it. So I just naturally learned. I was blessed enough to just be able to learn and recognize how to counter what from both perspectives.
Yeah, because I can tell you what, man. I coached 2 years ago, and I coached O-line, and it was so frustrating because you know what I mean. You have your interior, you got your guards, you know what I mean, and your center that played great, but at the high school level, you can attack those tackles. You know what I mean, and then if you don't have a skilled one, you know what I mean, he's going to open his gate. You know what I mean, he's going to give that two-way, and it's just frustrating because trying to teach it, and then you have an undersized guy. You know what I mean? Where I've been, you know what I mean? You're always going to have the undersized guy. I don't know if you know Adasian. No, he played at Doss. He kept waiting that two-way, man. I was like, stop doing that. I said, stay square. You know what I mean? If you open up and punch, you know what I mean? Oh, it's just frustrating. O-line is the frustrating. Yeah, it's frustrating.
It takes a special soul to be to be a dominant O-line guy, and like seeing that and learning it. That's one of my regrets. Like I just didn't embrace being a center because the reality is, again, I mean, right now I'm 6'2", well, I'm 370, well, 365. I lost some weight a little, obviously, but like in college, my best weight was 305. If I played between 302 and 308, I was in a good spot.
Oh, okay.
I felt too slow if I was above 308, and I didn't feel strong if I was below 302.
Nice. So we are here talking to Anthony Richardson, a.k.a. Coach Hawk. This guy is running a great organization. It's called Inside the Lines. Is there any way that if somebody does watch this, they can contact you and get your training?
Yeah, so there's multiple ways. You can start at the website, www.itltraining.org. Once again, it's itltraining.org. You can email me at insidethelinestraining@gmail.com. Social media, Inside the Lines Training on all social media platforms. You can call me, 502-298-4409. And just, like I said, tap in, get in contact. I'm just big on making sure the kids have an adequate avenue to express themselves, whether it be academically, athletically, or socially, because only 1.3% high school athletes make it to the NFL, or to professional sports. And on average, through the major three sports, women and men's basketball, baseball, and football, the average is 1.7 of high school athletes make it from their senior year to the professional level. And that came from the NCAA's website. And so I just want to make sure that the other 98.3%, they got a future, because it's a lot of us, and I'm one of them. And that's kind of how this ball got to rolling, is life after sports. When your lifeline is cut, and so for me that was football. After a series of injuries, trying out up in Cincinnati, and then playing arena ball, which I absolutely despise arena ball for as a professional sport. When I say that, like I played it here, like Louisville Extreme,
Yeah.
and it was fun, but it was like local. It was recreational. Yeah, we got paid, but it was me. It was just I just wanted to go play ball, still play a little bit of ball.
So let's get into that, man. Now you're playing arena, and you were like, what is your thought? You know what I mean? Just go out, ball, have a good time.
Yeah, when I played here,
Yeah.
when I went out and played in Billings, Montana, it was terrible, and that was like the number one AA arena football program. But I stayed 7 days, and I'll be honest, as the first thing in my life, I quit. Like, flat out quit. Like it, arena, it wasn't football to me. It just
Right.
that's a personal thing, and there's no disrespect to anyone playing the game or has made it because people make it from there. But I feel like it's more of a quarterback, DB, receiver opportunity. Lineman, like you had some guys be brought down from professional or let's say NFL or Canadian League, and they play some arena ball just to get some more active film, just to get back up. But they already had one foot in the door. For people who don't really have a foot in the door, your chances are very slim, and especially for an interior lineman.
Mm-hmm.
So, like for me, it was I went out there. My agent at the time, like nothing was going. I mean, no opportunities with the NFL, and so agent sent me out there, and it was culturally it reminded me of Moorhead. So I was back in that mindset of this is terrible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I got my bachelor's degree, but at that point, I had 4 knee surgeries. So I was damaged goods. And again, like as an eye test, if you wrote me down my stats and accolades and my combine stuff, you remove the stats and accolades, size and combine stuff. I don't look desirable. So I just at that point kind of swallowed the pill of football's over, meaningful football's over. And that set in what, since I'm educated enough now, was depression. I went through probably about a year of depression because all my life I was hooked. Football, you know what I mean? I've always been one of the best on my teams that I've played in. I've always been liked by friends, and making friends wasn't hard. So then to go back to coming back to the neighborhood, and it's like I literally have one of my friends, and it kind of plays in my head every now and again. And he looked at me and was like, damn, man, I thought you was going to make it. And I was like, you know what I mean? He didn't mean anything. Like,
nothing. No hurtful.
Like,
you know what I mean?
That hit me in the soul was like, yeah, me too. But now what? Who are you?
Yep.
You know what I mean? And that's kind of the vision for my program. Like, who are you past your sport of choice? And kids don't know that. Like, I talk there, and if any of my parents ever look at this, that where I tutor, they'll tell you, like, after workouts, I'm tapping into kids' mind and soul. Who are you? Tell me something good about you that you don't do. Meaning, like, I go play football and I'm big, strong, and I'm dominant. That's something you do. Tell me who you are and how great you are without a trophy being represented on the wall.
Yep.
And now everybody struggles to say, like, I'm confident. Because if you take these accolades from me, who am I? When I strip you naked, figuratively, who are you? And I had a kid. I asked him, and this kid's one of the most dominant kids in the city, 5th grader. And it's because he's talented, no doubt about it. But people put a lot of expectations on this kid, and he kind of struggled. He's growing now. I got him writing affirmations on his own note.
Yeah, that's good. That's good, man.
And when I see him, like, I don't ask him how his games went. How are you? Because that's what matters. You know what I mean? Because at some point you will face injuries. You're going to play sports, you're going to face injuries. Some point you may be cut from a team. And think about it. How many of NFL greats retire on their own terms? I mean, Peyton Manning walked off into the sunset. Brett Favre walked off into the sunset. Tom Brady walked off into the sunset. Ray Lewis walked off into the sunset. You can pick a handful more guys that walked off into the sunset.
Yeah, exactly.
But you can pick dozens and drones of people who the game left them where they were.
Yep.
And so, like, after that, like, you got to be sure who you were. So I took a lot of my successes and failures, and I'm trying to build that into a program. So a kid, even with disappointment, I still hold my head high knowing how great I am. It's just God didn't bless me with this opportunity, or it wasn't for me. So it's practice. Practice on being the best you before you have to use it.
There you go. This is Anthony Richardson, Inside the Lines Training. You can contact him. Like you just said, I'll put all the information down below. Man, this has been a great episode. And I want to just tell you something, man. It's an honor to have you on this podcast. Just because of what you're doing for the student athlete, you're doing bigger. You know what I mean? Like when you coach, you always say, "Oh, we're doing it for a bigger purpose." Yeah. You know what I mean? You're actually not coaching, but you're doing this for the bigger purpose of this man that's going to grow up and not have every opportunity maybe.
Yeah,
and
I'm sorry. I did want to add this. I just want to make sure, like, for anybody viewing this, like, Inside the Lines, we are a full service tutoring, training, and mentoring program. We have other umbrellas. We do things outside of after school hours, but right now we operate Monday through Thursday from 5 to 8 p.m. at 2627 Crumbs Lane. We service boys and girls, school age. We do tutoring. We have tutors come in the classroom. We're building the mentoring piece, so we'll start doing stuff outside of those hours as well. But we work on every week goal setting, like I said, athletic stuff, and like we don't just do football. We do basketball. We got 2 high school coaches that are going to come and start doing clinics and work with our kiddos, and then also we got a strength and conditioning coordinator. So like Monday through Thursday, you're coming in and you're getting better. We're doing plyometrics, flexibility, strength and conditioning, and those type of things. So Inside the Lines is not just people see me and be like, "Oh, you play football? Oh, you train as football?" Like, no, I want to. There's too many kids, and I can't train or coach or mentor them all. But I do want to open that umbrella and make sure that it's known that we touch multiple sports.
Nice. Like I said, Anthony Richardson, Inside the Lines Training. Go find him. It's a great episode. Episode 6. Like I always say, everyone has a story.
Yes, sir.
I'm here for them to tell it. Cleats to Whistle Podcast.
Thank you for having me, man.